everyone. Today we're going to address the question, how do you know if she likes you? This is one of the most common questions I get asked, and in some ways it's a great question, in some ways it's an awful question, but it's a question that I'm going to answer three different ways. I'm going to give you one answer for if you're pretty inexperienced with girls, another answer for if you're pretty decent with girls, and another answer for if you're really expert and really great with girls. And the funny thing is the answers are very, very different, and this is a great example of how you can progress in your understanding and how what's right for you at one point may not be right for you at another point. So with that said, let's crack into it. We'll start off with, what do you do if you're not very experienced with girls? For the guy who's inexperienced with girls, I'm speaking to you right now. You have a choice. You can try and figure out analytically if she likes you or not, or you can just assume that she does and act accordingly. And I'm going to tell you, assuming that she does and acting accordingly is by far the better option. Here's why. If you're overthinking things, if you're stuck up in your head, you're going to have less attention available to pay attention to her and know what's going on. You're going to be less charismatic. You're not going to be on top of things. And you're going to look nervous and insecure. All of those are unattractive qualities. If you assume that she likes you, you're going to be acting confident, secure, assured, all these attractive qualities, and she's going to respond much better to that. So let's look at the different cases. Let's say that she does like you and you act like she does like you. Well, that makes sense. Obviously, that's going to go a lot better. You're going to be acting in accordance with reality. You are going to be pushing things forward at the right pace. You're going to be acting with confidence, and she's going to respond pretty well to it. So that's obviously a good thing. If she likes you, you assume she likes you, that's good. Let's look at the other case, though, where she doesn't like you and you assume she likes you. Well, first of all, I want to say you have very little to lose in this case because she already doesn't like you. If she already doesn't like you and you mess it up, what have you lost? She already didn't like you. Beyond that, though, if you go in confident, assured, assertive, all these other very positive traits, it's more likely that she will actually begin to like you. Whereas if you go in insecure and pleading for attention and assuming a negative response, it's going to come off very bad and very unattractive and only going to hurt your chances. So whether she likes you or not, you're actually better off assuming that she likes you. So the standard that I would give for a guy that's pretty inexperienced is this. If she's still there talking to you, assume she likes you. If she hasn't said fuck you and left, assume that she likes you. It's the better assumption in almost every case. Next up, guys who are already getting kind of good results with girls. Most of the time, guys like this are not asking the question, does the girl like me? Because they've already figured out that if you act as though she likes you, things do better. And that's why a lot of guys who are like naturally good with girls, they tend to be very cocky, very overconfident, even like to the point that it turns some girls off, right? But they've learned that that strategy works. Funny enough, though, these guys actually should be asking, does the girl like me? Except what they really should be asking is, how much does the girl like me? What I'm talking about here is a thing called calibration. It's a thing called being responsive to the girl and knowing exactly where she's at. Because if she likes you, you're going to need to move things forward. But if you know how much she likes you, you're going to know at what pace to move things forward. So what I want you to do if you're already getting some results with girls is start making the distinction between interested and attracted. Interested is she's staying and talking to you. Attracted is she's being emotionally aroused by you in a positive way. And the signs for that are, if you're talking, if she continues the conversation. Let's say it goes a little quiet. Does she jump in and continue the conversation, or does she wait for you to do that? Is she trying to make the conversation happen? Is she leaning in close to you, cutting physical space with you, that kind of stuff, right? Is she getting more intimate? Is she touching you? Obviously, touching you is a very good thing. Also, touching herself is a very good thing. Like if she gets nervous and starts fixing her hair, biting her lip, those kind of things, we call them preening gestures. Those are all really good signs as well. So any of that kind of stuff's really good. Also, laughing, or better than laughing, actually giggling. Nervous giggling is probably better than full-blown laughing even. So any of those signs are great signs that she does like you, that she is attracted to you. And that gives you a much greater leeway to go ahead and escalate, both in terms of making statements like telling her you like her a bit. It gives you more leeway in terms of getting physical. It gives you more leeway in terms of going ahead and taking the girl on a date or taking her home. Okay? So if you're at that intermediate level, I want you to think about, not does she like me, but how much does she like me and how fast can I progress this? Also, if you're at the intermediate level, I want you to a certain small degree, think about if the girl likes you before approaching, because it's going to help you approach the right way. Okay, so if you're a beginner, if you're new to this and not great with girls, I don't want you overthinking the approach. I want you to just balls up and do it. But if you're intermediate, I want you to kind of like take a split second and think, is it on yet? Because if it is on, you can approach in a much more direct way, in a much more sexual way. If she hasn't realized you're there, you're gonna have to approach in a more friendly kind of way and let the sexual part come later. So again, it's a calibration issue. And as far as this goes, what you're looking for is two things. One, has she made eye contact with you? And particularly, if she makes eye contact, looks away, and then looks back later, that's an incredibly good sign that she's on. Also, if you're just walking by or something and you make eye contact and she holds it a bit too long, that's a good indicator. So either of those are really good indicators. The other really good indicator she likes you before approaching her is if she seems to just find herself in your area, right? If she seems to be following you around at a party, or she's just lingering near you without an appropriate reason, that's what we call proximity. That's an indicator of interest as well. So again, if you are already doing well, I want you to start thinking, not just is she interested, but is she attracted? Does she like me enough that I can go ahead and escalate things at a faster rate? Finally, for the guy who's already really good with girls, the guy who has lots of girls in his life, is sleeping with hot girls, has it handled, all right? A guy like that knows how to walk up and talk to a girl, and he knows when a girl's attracted to him. But that guy should be asking yet a different question, which is how compliant is she, or how bought into me is she, okay? So there's a difference between she's attracted to me and she's willing to go have sex with me, okay? There is a difference there, and that's what the advanced guy should be looking for. Now, how do you know this? It doesn't have to do with how emotional she is, because at a certain point, she either emotionally likes you or she doesn't. It's not like you're gonna get her more into you and more into you and more into you. It doesn't really work like that. It's when that switch in her mind has flipped. Instead of it being an emotional thing, she's logically decided she likes you, or she's started to invest and do the work for you. Now, how do you know when this is happening? Well, there's a few behaviors you can look for. First one is what we call qualifying herself to you. Qualifying herself to you means she's going out of her way to impress you. So, for example, if you were to say like, oh, I'm really into sports, and she goes, oh, I played lots of sports growing up and I'm really good at them and whatever. She's saying these things because she knows what type of things might impress you, and she's overtly trying to impress you, right? Or for example, if you were like, you're not one of those girls that just like, just dolls up and comes out to a club but doesn't have a brain, right? She'll be like, no, I'm really educated. I went to a good school and da. She's trying to prove herself to you. When the girl's trying to prove herself to you, you know that she's bought in, you know she's chasing, and you have lots of leeway to start doing things like getting away from her friends, taking her home, escalating not just in a physical way, but potentially in a sexual way, things like that, okay? Other things, we call it falling into your frame. Okay, so for example, let's say that a girl states an opinion and then you say that she's wrong. And then instead of being like, no, I'm right, she goes, oh yeah, actually you're probably right, and just gives up on her opinion. What does that decision mean? That decision means that she could have like stood up for her beliefs, or she could have pleased you. And she chose pleasing you more than being true to her own integrity. That's a huge indicator that she's really, really bought into you. Okay, that's enormous. If a girl's ever doing that kind of stuff, you know you're in. You know, like if that happens to me, I'm like, I'm getting laid tonight, basically. Okay, that's a huge indicator. The third one that shows a lot of compliance is if she ever helps you with what we call logistics. If she ever helps you with making sex happen. So for example, you're talking to her and things are going well. It's a little bit intimate, sexual, and then she just happens to mention that her friends drove her and she's, staying in this place in the city. Especially if it's out of context. She just happens to drop that hint, right? That means she really, really likes you. Or if the girl, if you touch her in a certain way and she tells you it feels good, she's actually overtly telling you the process you're gonna need to follow to sleep with her. And when girls get really into you, they actually will do this. It's very rare that a girl will actually do the move for you, but girls will very often tell you what moves they need. They understand kind of emotionally what their process to sex is, and if they're ever telling you the process, that means that they like you sexually and they're like starting to get committed to you, okay? So again, depending on your skill level, you wanna look at this question different ways. If you're a beginner, if she's just standing there, she likes you, you wanna assume it's on, get out of your head and just take positive action. If you're a little bit better with girls, a little more that like intermediate guy who gets results already, I want you to start looking for how much does she like me? Is she attracted? Can I start moving this forward, making it more sexual, being more man to woman, more upfront about my intentions? And then if you're one of those guys that's getting crazy results, I want you to take that attraction and start looking for those signs of compliance. And actually compliance, especially at a high level, is even more important than attraction, because once you're an attractive guy to girls, most girls are gonna get attracted. You're gonna just be used to that. but judging which ones are committed and not is gonna be a huge differentiator in your success with women, all right? So that's how you know if girls are into you or not, and that's also, maybe more importantly, how to use it. And as you see here, there's a different answer depending on the level of experience and level of competence you have.